Yeah, plenty on the way, but we're going to start with what is set to be a significant day in the Premier League title race as Arsenal welcome Liverpool to the Emirates. With a win, Arne Slot's side will go back to the top of the table and 7 points ahead of Arsenal. So look, Melissa, Paul Merson believes that Arsenal cannot afford to lose this game. Do you agree with those comments?
I don't think it would be ideal for them, but I also don't think it's smart to be making concrete proclamations when it's only October, especially in the context of the way the season's shaped up already. This is Liverpool's first game against one of last season's top 5. Arsenal have already faced Tottenham, Man City and Aston Villa away, taken 7 points from them. They've definitely had the hardest start so far of all the title contenders. And they've done so with Rice, Odegaard and Saka missing 7 games already this season. And I think last season, in the entire campaign, they missed just 5. So Arsenal are hurdling a very difficult period and doing it quite well so far. Also, in the last 10 seasons, the eventual champions at some point or another at some stage of the season have been 7 points adrift. So yes, too early to be making such declarations.
You mentioned about missing key personnel. William Saliba, of course, is going to be missing. He'll serve that 1-match ban. And these stats will worry Arsenal fans because their win rate drops hugely, 75% with him, 42% without him. Is he kind of like the one player that Mikel Arteta would rather be with than without?
Yeah, it's hard to actually overstate how crucial he is to the team, not just because of his performances, but the aura, the calmness that he brings. And he started like 46 consecutive Premier League games. And while Arteta likes to rotate, he in all other areas of the pitch, not his central defensive partnership. That's really his banker. And I found it interesting that he was talking about, sleepless nights, thinking about his lineup, because he's already changed his back 4 combination 6 times this season. Last season, he'd only done it 9 occasions.
Gosh, neither done 6
so
so far.
Yeah, that part of the pitch, he needs certainty there, and I think the team build from there. So Saliba, a huge miss for them, and while they've dealt with the absence of others, I think he is the one that it's hardest to mitigate for.
The fact that they won't, as Melissa was saying, they'll be without Odegaard, Ricardo Calafiori, doubts over Saka, there's doubts over Jurrien Timber as well. Is this the perfect opportunity for Liverpool, even though Slot feels this is kind of their toughest challenge yet?
I think Liverpool would have been confident going into this match anyway, because of their defensive record, which is the best in the Premier League so far this season, because of the more measured way that they're playing under Arne Slot, which has given them so much confidence in the way that they go about their business. I think as far as Arsenal are concerned, yes, they're missing lots of good players, top players, but it's also a triumph of their recruitment that they're able to call in good players. They focus a lot on strengthening that defence. Kirill will come in, you would imagine, today. And while lots of people will look at him and say, well, he's not of the calibre of Saliba, there are various changes if he wants to. He could even move Ben White into central defence, and you would still have the personnel on either side of fullback to be able to slot in. So from that point of view, he does have a lot of options. He might also say that Liverpool's best centre-forward isn't playing, Jota, who lots of people would say is the most natural finisher they have. So Liverpool have their own issues as well. But Liverpool will be confident going into this match because they don't have that lack of certainty that Arsenal have. And they come into the match on the back of a fantastic record. But how many times have we sat here and thought a team was there for the taking a few hours later, only for us to be WhatsApping each other midway through the afternoon?
They say we get it wrong.
No, but I'm just saying the unpredictability of the Premier League is such that we can look at the state of play on paper and think this is going to be a difficult afternoon for them, and they will come out and confound us. And if you look at it, the situation at the moment is probably the best possible team talk that Arteta could give to his players this afternoon.
I was just going to say that the best teams use these situations where they have where it feels like against all odds, or they have to scale an obstacle to their favour, it can rouse them. And Arteta is definitely that type of manager. And when you listen to all his media briefings in the course of the week, it's very defiant. It's very, we don't have any excuses. We know we're good. We're going to win. That's all we think about. And I think that's important. And it has helped them develop as a team, not just in terms of how they handle the big games, but I think psychologically in general, they're just so much more steely regardless of the situation.
It's important just to re-emphasise what you were saying before, Melissa. There will be lots of people who look at this on paper and say, if Arsenal lose, they're out of it. It's not true. You look at the last 10 seasons, as you've been saying, at some point, the team that has won the league has been 7 points behind at some stage of the season. And if it were to happen now, there are nearly 30 games to go to turn it around. It's like the first circuit of the Grand National. I say this one to you all the time because it's so true. You're talking about a marathon. You're talking about cup competitions coming into play, form, fitness, the intangibles that pop up every season that nobody can account for. So I think it'll be a terrific match. I think it's the second highest scoring Premier League game in the history of the competition. And Liverpool will be formidable opponents for Arsenal. Let's not kid ourselves. But I think as far as Arsenal are concerned, this game is no means a be-all and end-all.
In terms of personnel for Liverpool, Jamie Carragher thinks that they need to make a couple of big signings in January. Do you agree with that?
I do think his point on Liverpool needing a utility defender, especially on the left side, would offer them a lot more flexibility and depth, which they do need, and they've lacked in that area for a few seasons. The point about needing a creative heartbeat in the mould of Foden and Odegaard, I'm not that sure about, because that midfield is operating so well with the tools it has at its disposal at the moment, which is that hard running, the effort off the ball. And the way Slot is playing and the system, I'm trying to see where that creative influence or that mould of player, how
like
it
Steven
would
Gerrard
change.
of old.
Yeah, how it would change the dynamic of the team, or how it would improve it. Obviously, it's nice to have.
Yeah.
It gives you a different method of attack and variety in your play. But that midfield just seems to me at the moment so well set up, and there's so many options there already, that I don't think Liverpool themselves as a club will be thinking, we have to buy that player in January.
It'd be interesting to see if Jamie elaborates on that this afternoon, because listening to you speak, what you're saying is that they would have to change the system to be able to accommodate that number 2. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, number 10, yeah.
OK, because, it would be interesting to see, well, do you change your system so that if you do get injuries, you can have that number 10, or do you keep it the same as it is, where maybe
if it ain't broke, why try and fix it?
Yeah. I'm more asking the question than making a statement.
Yeah, knowing Liverpool as well as I do, signings aren't their solution. They don't think the way we're going to cure something, or the easiest route to something, is to just bring a new face in, because especially in January, you'll think about the adjustment period. Can they immediately come into that first team and be well versed in the demands? No, they'd need time to form chemistry, to gel, all those kind of things. They have made very good January signings, Liverpool, but those signings that they made in the winter were long planned out signings. Virgil van Dijk is the key one that's been mentioned, but that was only because they couldn't get him in the summer. We all remember why.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, let's turn our attention to the papers. What are they saying about this big matchup then?
Well, as we all know, Troy Dean is a good friend of Arsenal. Well, OK, I'm being a bit sarcastic there, but I think as far as Troy's concerned, his column has always been outstanding because he's so honest, he's so open, having played against Arsenal and spoken about Arsenal in the past. And here he's asking a very, very searing question in The Sun today. Is it time? Well, let's read it. He says, Arsenal have to deliver. And I'm beginning to think of the question, when is Arteta under pressure? It's a harsh question given what he has done for the club. but at some point you have to deliver. Now, Arteta has won a trophy at Arsenal since he's arrived there. Deeney's talking about in the context of the title, which is his own, Mikel Arteta's stated aim. Now, it kind of opens up the question, if you're an Arsenal fan, what do you want? Do you want trophies and the joy of winning? Or do you want, and I've kind of listed these here, the culture change, the development of players, the consistency of form, the respectability that Arsenal has brought back to the club as a superpower, the young players, the promise for the future. Would you set those things against winning a trophy? Or do you believe that if you don't have a trophy to put on the table as having won in the last 2-3 seasons, or if you fall short in the Premier League, that's failure? I don't think that is. I would respectably take issue with the idea that he has to win the league this season. He has to have won it last season.
To be there or thereabouts, surely.
Absolutely, that's what you want from your team. Obviously, he will want to win the league. You know, we're not saying anything that Mikel Arteta doesn't think himself and doesn't tell us in press conferences all the time. But I think if he doesn't win the league this season, and even though people say it's wide open, City don't have Rodri, City have sold Alvarez, it's there for the taking. Even if he doesn't win it this season, I look at the work that he's done there. We've talked a million times about the documentary, which gave us an insight into what he does, the way he works, what his vision is. Arsenal are in fantastic hands under Arteta, and I don't think they should buy into the idea that if he doesn't win it, then that's it.
Everything that he's put in place there has put them in this position where they are title challengers, where they are a force in Europe again, where they are consistent, where they are viewed so differently. Now we're actually expecting them to put Manchester City, an absolute juggernaut, to the title because of what he has done and what he has built. And this conversation is always so funny to me because it was the same for Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp, people used to say, oh, well, Liverpool play nice football, but they haven't won anything. They keep losing finals. And you have to lose and you have to get close and you have to suffer the setbacks to learn, to gain the experience, to then become better, to then ultimately win. I think his line was, you have to lose big in order to learn how to win big. And it was the same process of you do all the right things, you follow the processes, and at some stage it has to work. Also, when we talk about these things, it seems to be in isolation. Like we're judging Mikel Arteta and Arsenal without the wider view of Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. There is a reason the rest of the league is like, is Pep staying? Is he signing that extension or is he going to go? Because it will make a difference. It will change the complexion.
Guardiola won. It took him, what, 7 years, was it, to win the Champions League? They came close. They got to quarterfinals. They had big disappointments in finals, semi-finals. But that's why they brought him in, to win the Champions League, and it took him nearly a decade to do it. So you do need that patience. You don't often get it in our binary culture at the moment, but I think anyone who looks under the bonnet of what Arsenal are doing will understand what Arteta is doing. I'm just going to quickly give you one more. I've got time for that.
Yeah, of course.
Nick Wright on the Sky Sports website, I love this, does the numbers, talks about Liverpool's excellent start to the season, the work he's done with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and in particular Ibrahima Konate. Gerald Kwanzaa played half a game at the start of the season. We haven't seen him since because Konate's come in. That defence conceded only 3 goals so far this season, half as many as any other side, 3 times lower than it was at the same stage of last season. They've got the best record in terms of expected goals against. So opponents are struggling to even create high-quality chances against them, never mind score. And teams don't even score against them on set pieces either. And what Nick is saying is that people talk about what Slot done, because he hasn't done that much, in inverted commas. But what he's done is more forensic. It's tweaks. You look at Alexander-Arnold, he's more of an orthodox fullback rather than one who tucks inside or bombs forward all the time. You look at Konate and the solidity that he has alongside Van Dijk. the confidence that he plays with now. And it looks as though, even though Arsenal are a very stable side defensively, because of their lack of options, they're going to struggle this afternoon against a side that do not give you a sniff, let alone the crumbs.